What's up, YouTubers? So today, subject to my video, Mossberg Shockwave, one of my favorite firearms ever. When I was a kid, I must have seen a movie with somebody had a sawed-off shotgun with the stock actually sawed off to kind of a bird's head grip. But I don't know, I've always been attracted to owning something like this, and finally it's a thing. So sweet. But I think there's some stuff that needs to be said about whether or not this is in a defensive plan, or you know, maybe use in a defensive role, or who should and who shouldn't, etc. So kind of talk about that a little bit too, some of my experience with it and what rounds I like that pattern the best with it so far. And yeah, so before we get started, if you like what you see, please subscribe and throw a thumbs up because it really helps. And without further ado, Alright, really fast before we get started, I'm going to talk about the rounds that I like the best in this thing so far. So I like this Hornady American Gunner 10 pellet. That's the stuff right there. 3/4 inch double aught. So I found that stuff shoots, I don't know, at about 10 yards or so. About a group about that big. Oh, see what I did there? Yep, gotcha. No, for real, that's about the size of the group at like 7, 8, 10 yards. Stays pretty tight, well out to, it's within a pie plate at like 20, 25 yards of my gun. So that's the one for me that stays in it. Yep, I'm sure there's other good ones out there, I'm sure, but that's one I had and I tried it and it works the best out of all the loads I had. So I actually bought a bunch more because it's not that expensive. So yep. Alright, moving on. Alright, so Shockwave. First off, this thing is, in my opinion, worth every penny you pay for it because it is just a hoot to shoot. It's tons of fun. So honestly, we shoot to train and to get better and improve, right? So in the unlikely and unfortunate event that we have to defend ourselves or our loved ones, that we can do so. But we also shoot for fun. Right, I was always attracted to shooting as a child, and it's just fun, right? So, and I think this is one of those things where you get it, and even if it's just for enjoyment, why not, right? Go have fun. That's why we do what we do. So, getting that out of the way, defensive role, right? Should it be? Can it be? What should we do with it? So my personal thoughts on this one are, for extreme close range, perfect, right? Just about anybody who's semi-proficient with firearms could, within 5 yards, make hits with this just out of instinctual pointing, right? Without much training, just pointing it like that, because we could all kind of point a broomstick at a door, right? Same concept. Point the broomstick at the middle of the door and pull the trigger. Not hard. But I think should take an honest look at anything outside of 5, 6, 7 yards unless you practice with this thing a lot. So in a defensive situation, we're responsible for everything that comes out of our guns, right? Every single shot, every trigger pull we are responsible for and are going to have to answer questions about if we ever do use it to protect ourselves. So I think it's kind of scary to think about a bunch of buckshot that, if you think about buckshot too, right? It's not like a hollow point. A buckshot is a round lead ball that hopefully will deform a little bit, but it's got more potential, I think, to continue its path than a hollow point projectile does out of, let's say, a handgun or a 5.56 round. If it hits soft tissue, it's going to dump all its energy, where buckshot has potential to continue its path. So it should be thought about and carefully weighed. So also, if you don't have the right round in this thing and you shoot, let's say, a 15-yard shot down a long hallway in your house and spreads open like a pie plate, and you put your pie plate, you aim, let's say, right here, and a couple buckshot go past your target, then you have to think about those things too, right? You might have to answer for those. So those are all thoughts in this equation. So that's kind of why I don't pick a shotgun for home defense as my first choice anyway, because of my current living situation, for one, right? But if, let's say, you're out in the country and you're not worried about anybody else in your house, it's just you and your wife, or just you and one kid, or you by yourself, then it's a totally different, it's a horse of a different color, right? But this is a defensive gun. I think it's okay as long as you understand the limitations and practice with it a lot. Plain and simple. Also, without a buttstock. So I think it's worth giving yourself an honest look at too. It's tough to explain unless you've actually been there. The fight or flight feeling you get when you're in an armed encounter. If you've never felt it, it's really tough to explain what it feels like, where you lose those fine motor skills. And everything feels like you're stuck in like molasses, and it's really hard to move. It's a really tough thing to explain, and your heart starts beating out of your chest, and you stop normal respiration. Your breathing you're kind of like holding your breath, waiting to exhale. It's tough to explain. Like if you've ever been in like a fist fight or a street fight, and you kind of lock up a little bit, that's the same sort of thing where our bodies react to stress like that, right? So imagine that, and trying to use one of these at a distance, right? Like it's just, you're not thinking about where to aim, you're thinking about the person that you're aiming at or whatever, right? So it's one of those things to think about. So practicing a lot is key with any defensive weapon. So I kind of want to put the thought about like an archer that doesn't have a fancy compound bow with a bunch of with a peep sight and with a sight up front on the bow, like a traditional recurve archer. Shooting off a horse, right, while they're moving and hitting small targets. It's possible, right? It's a feel thing. It really is. Shooting's about feel. Like I could take one of my Nerf guns that doesn't really have sights and doesn't shoot accurately off the top and kind of just eyeball, and I know where it's going to shoot because I've shot it so much. Same kind of concept. Habitual practice where you're consistently doing something, your body just turns it into more feel, almost like artistry, right? You understand the whole system, and you can kind of just work through it without hard sights on something that you can aim, right? So I kind of think about this like that. If you were ever going to use it defensively, it should be that extension of your body that you don't have to think about. My personal thoughts. But everybody's free to do what they wish, right? It scares me a little bit having to justify what I've done in front of, if I did ever use it to defend myself, I better be proficient with it so I don't have to explain any errant projectiles. My thoughts. But that being said, I do shoot it a lot and love it just because it's fun to shoot. So I wouldn't be afraid to use it, but I understand its limitations. So again, super fun. One of my favorites that I've ever had, and I'll definitely have it for forever. Thinking about getting another one just to put like a brace on and like play around. Because honestly, probably my favorite gun to shoot that I've ever had in my life. I got some cool stuff, but for $350, you know, you can have one of these toys. Like it's tempting to buy one of the like Mariner styled ones and stuff. I'm sure somebody's gonna ask, so the dummy rounds I'm using are Bees snap caps. Let me get the box, I'll actually show you. Got them off Amazon, Bees dry fire snap caps. They're full weight. They got kind of a brass-like appearance. I'm not sure what kind of metal. I don't think it's brass. And they're weighted. They're weighted like a bird shot or something like that. They're about 2 3/4 long. So they mimic actual shell, which is neat. It's a good training aid. It's good for practicing loading, or having the gun the weight that it would be with shells if you're training dry fire practice. It's pretty neat. Worked really well. One of them the metal started chipping right there. I don't know if that's a thing a shotgun shell would do. If you were to cycle it and not shoot it like 500 times, kind of like these are. So I can't tell you if that's like normal for the material, but whatever. It doesn't really affect anything. I still use it. Still works fine. Cool. So, yep, that's my thoughts on the Shockwave. I think if you're looking at this, or you're looking at them and you're kind of lusting over it and you think, oh, I just want it so bad, but I don't know if it serves a real purpose, I say get one anyway, because for $350 or whatever you could buy them for right now, it's well worth the joy you're gonna get every time you shoot it. Like I still take it out and just have a blast with it. So I think I put it in one of my buddy's hands who never shot one last weekend, and it's a smile machine. He turned his head with a huge smile on his face after the first shot and was just like a kid again. So go get one, have fun with it. These things are a blast. Anybody who hates on it, just look the other way, because who cares? You got it to have fun with it, so what? That's my take on it anyway. I get stuff because I want to shoot it, not because someone else thinks it's cool. So I really don't care what people think. Haters are going to be haters, you know? Get it, enjoy it. Yep. So, guess that's it. Thanks for watching and checking out the video. And if you subscribe, thumbs up, thank you. If you didn't, please do, if you like what you see. And have a nice day.